G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. Enno here from Fantasy Take TV. Going to be going over round 15 this week. Here today, got end of the bye rounds, which is nice. You always want to treat it as sort of a block, see if you can make some ground up over that period. Don't treat it, some bye rounds going to be bad, blah blah blah. You've heard it all before, but yeah, we did that, so we'll take that at the end of the day. Have held Sicily, throughout the last couple of weeks. Could have traded him to a Petrarca this week or last week. It's a bit harder last week. Sort of mostly had all the premiums you'd want that already had their buy, but so could have gained an extra 100 or so points doing that. But we still take what we got. Still a decent round rate this week. We've had 18 playing, including marriage. So a lot of people probably in similar boats, but some maybe in worse positions as well. So we will take that into 770. So top few hundred would be the ideal goal from here. You're not going to make it probably into the top 100 from here. I mean, you still could. Got to nail captaincies. Got to obviously have a couple of my lower owned premiums of people ahead of me go well, and obviously ones I don't have go poorly. So we'll get to that, but yeah, 2067, we'll take it this week. Sort of 2000 above you would have been okay with. But obviously there were some people struggling to field a side this week, and it really just came down to your premiums, and a lot of them, pretty much all of mine did well. So we'll take that. We'll get to the team in a sec. Obviously rocking the Arsenal hat today, trying to get a bit of luck. I've been seeing. We're trying to get Declan Rice, and if that doesn't go through, will be quite disappointing. So just trying to get a bit of luck there for the Gunners boys ahead of the next season starting. It comes around quick. It does start, I think, August, which is still only a month or so away, but it does come around pretty quick. And we'll get back into the full swing of that, because with SuperCoach now, I mean, my team is still not finished. It will be next week, but most people are either, if they aren't already, they are this week, or possibly, like me, next week. So after that, it's pretty much just ride the luck, injury luck, how many trades you've got left, maybe some cover, and just ride the boys home in your team, because that's the point it sort of comes to SuperCoach every year post the buys. And it was a pretty good week for a lot of premiums, a lot of good scoring. So it did help, in that poor buy round that this was, or a tough one, should I say, for people to get through. That a lot of players that we own premiums did do quite well. So we only did the one trade last week, and that was Ford to Windhager to get 18. Now, there was a few ways to finish my team. Obviously, trade Sicily, could have just done that to like a Petrarca, as I said. Would have kicked Marich out of my best 18 and got me 100 points basically for this round. So it would have had me having quite a good week. But at this point, I sort of said it last week, and I probably said on the podcast, not really playing for much. You want to be within the top 100 or 150 at this point to sort of being within striking distance of the top 10. For cash prizes. I mean, look, I play this to get the best rank every year. Cash is obviously a bonus if you get near the top 10, which I haven't really been since maybe 5 years ago. No, 2019. What's that? 4 years ago, whatever. So since I'm not, I sort of you want to enjoy the rest of the season from here. You don't want to be copping or have poor premiums, or having to watch a couple of bad plays in your team. So for Sicily, I started him, I've kept him all year, and I don't want to miss out on what I think he'll average, when he comes back, is about 120, possibly even pushing 130. And when he does come back, he does have a really nice stretch of games. So obviously suspended for the Brizzy game, for the game of the weekend, round 15, what was it, against Gold Coast. Carlton missed that. GW misses that, and he's back for North. Richmond, who love to just bomb it away, play the territory game, that'll play very well into his hands. And then St Kilda as well, who went 170 on not too long ago, and could have honestly gone 200. So that for me is a possibility of doing that again. Dogs kind of similar. Collingwood maybe not as good. They'll try to keep it away from. They don't play that sort of. They try to pick you apart with their run and carry. And then Melbourne, actually pretty good as well, I think. Went 130 on them this year already, and they sort of, the forward line can be dysfunctional at times. So, blah, blah, blah. I think he'll finish the year quite strongly, just as long as he doesn't get suspended again. But I had a few ways to go. So, I did that. I could have kept 100k and just gone forward to, Harrison. He scored 50 as well. I would have had an extra, 80, 90k, whatever that was, to have this week. And then I would, finish the team with a couple extra premiums. I still wouldn't have been able to get a great player from, Hump to Butters this week's the plan, and it still is. That would have been the play. And then I sort of would have had maybe 100k there and trying to turn Chincotta and MJ into my last midfielder. So, I did envisage MJ going 99, which he ended up doing, and he's actually going to kickstart some cash gen the next couple of weeks if he keeps it up. But, after his 30 last week, I sort of was sitting there going, it's not going to really be good if I do, just got a Harrison. I would have, 300k in the bank almost this week. Humphrey straight to Butters, would have had maybe about 100k left over, and then MJ was, maybe going to be 280, 290. Chincotta, what is he, 260 plus 100k? You're getting about a 550k mid, and maybe it wasn't even going to be. I think, rough calculations, it might have been 530, 540, and there's not much there. Maybe I could have snuck in Noah Anderson or Parrish is back now, but I might have even just been short of those guys. So what I opted to do, and my thinking is, I'll get a player like a Windhager or a Sheldrick, get me hopefully a better score this week. Obviously Sheldrick was the play for this round in particular. Would have been an extra 40 odd points. But they were going to be my cover for the rest of the year, as opposed to a 23rd player in like a, Will Day or NAS, Wanganing Malira. So I wanted them to play out the year or have, envisaged that, and the thinking was Windhager would do that, and Sheldrick might find his way to the team at some point. And look, it's still to be seen. We don't know what's going on, but Windhager didn't play too well. So anyway, that's that. And my plan is to trade Humphrey obviously to Butters as I'll do this week, and then Will Day to my final midfielder, sort of around when Sicily's back. So we'll play Windhager and Chincotta, sort of loop them until Sicily's back. Hopefully get lucky and get some 70s and 80s from one of them for the next 2 weeks, and then when Sicily's back, trade out Will Day, get in. It's looking like I'll probably be able to get Petrarca as the last mid, who will finish off nicely, and then run it home from there with Sicily back in the defence, and have sort of Windhager and Chincotta as my two cover players across lines for the rest of the year. So that's what I'm doing now. I've sort of made my bed now and have to sleep in it. Can't really get that 100k back from Windhager down to say Harrison or whoever. Probably would have had to been him. And have to live with what I've decided to do. So unfortunately, I can't actually do Humphrey to Butters in one trade this week. We'll have to cull MJ early as well, but that's fine. Will Day's still making money, and it'll still close the gap, and I'll be able to get a 600k mid regardless. But we'll get to the team. I'm not going to be here for too long. I've already had a bit of a spiel over the last 5 or so minutes. So Dacos, brilliant. Ridiculous sort of last 5-6 minutes in that game. He was huge. Stewart just chugging along as always. Dawson, that was ridiculous game from him. Did it all. Scored like 170 dream team, so could have gone a lot bigger too if he hit a few more of his kicks. Sinclair's coming along nicely now. He was a bit of a worry there for a period. A cop to 70 and a 60 from him, I think, in the first 3 weeks of owning him. Then he had that 160 in between, so looking okay now, has West Coast, but his role does change week to week. This week gone, it was pure midfield. They dropped Seb Ross, and I guess part of the reason why I got NAS, I'm like, if that's going to happen, Sinclair can hopefully still go well in the midfield, but then NAS really gets that roll down back and controls, all the kickouts and a lot of the use out of D50. So, going on to NAS, he went really well as well, kicked a good goal. Will Day played a bit of that. He still had 80% CBAs. I just checked before, and I was watching the game here and there. Pretty boring game. and that second quarter, he had like a 60-point quarter, just sort of his last 5 or 8 minutes or so, played a bit of defence and was just loose, lapping up a lot of the Gold Coast entries. So he really juiced his score there. And hey, if he's the guy I'm going to be, sort of swapping, waiting till Sicily back, if he can play that role for the next 2 weeks, that'd be very lovely. And then I can move him on to my last mid. But that was, nice to see. I mean, he hasn't done crap for us since we've got him, really. Finally got a ton, what was it, last week or week before, and now 140 after, a heap of 70s and 80s. So we take that. Laird's been really good since getting him in. So, he looks back to his normal best. Neil's been very good pickup, so we'll take what he's given us in the last 3 weeks as well. Andy as well, like really good trade-ins that I've had, and mind you, quite obvious, I would say. Andy was the pick of the bunch at a really cheap price, down towards, I think it was $520 or so at the time. So really good if you picked him up. So Wrong, not as good. I got him in for about 600, I think, a few weeks ago, and he hasn't been too hot. So hopefully there's a bigger score coming from him. But obviously he's dropped in price quite a bit, and I'd still say you could pick him up if you're looking for a last sort of midfielder around that price. Cheaper, 550, 80 is now. So that's decent. MJ, really good. We love that score from him, obviously, just for points this week, of course. But, for those of you who still have him, and I mean, maybe, if you can keep him as your cover for the year, I think that's quite a good option as well. Obviously, it would be only in the midfield. Windhager, we sort of spoke about. Rowan was decent without being great. Obviously, would love it to be English and Briggs for the run home, but I still think Rowan can do quite well. And he's averaging just a tick under 110. I think he'll finish around 110 and maybe a little bit more. Depends if he has some bigger games. Dunks BC, we took that. Obviously, I was tempted to go Errol in the end and didn't. So I think George was as well, kicking ourselves for that. But that's what you get. Speaking of Errol, ridiculous game from him. Really first quarter just started from there, and game was over. That was quite a remarkable scoreline in the end from that one. And then DC we've had for a few weeks now, and he's looked solid. Besides his game where he went off with the injury for start of the year, he was on 80 odd in the third quarter, and then you sort of take away his first 2 games when he came back from the injury. It was more ruck time for Cox in the first one, and then second one I think it was still a bit shared. So you take them away, he's averaging about 105 or so, with the preferred ruck role. So that's really good. Gives you ruck cover, of course. And then Humph and Marriage, obviously Marriage, whatever, playing key forward for West Coast is not good for anyone. And Humph just lost his mid-time really the last 2 weeks. We still got a 70 from him last week, but it was coming. If this role was going to hold, this type of score was coming, and it has meant that I can't quite get Butters in one trade this week, so we will have to cash in MJ. Pardon me. Some would say early, but you got to get premiums on field. Really, people are finishing their teams. I'm still probably a week behind, so. Look, that's where the team sits. We'll do the trades. We won't speak too much more on it. It'll be MJ and Humph out. We'll get Butters in. And then really the rookie just comes down to whoever's playing. So obviously you need to keep enough in the bank to get day 2, a Petrarca or something in about 2 weeks. Or not next week, the one after. So is it Bytel? I'll just do him for now. He's been spoken about enough. I've probably mentioned him too many times. Will he ever get into this St Kilda team? Who knows? But, he'll be there. We'll hit the optimise button. So we've got Windhager, and I think JD pointed out to me last night I can loop Chincotta with Rowson, assuming he isn't the sub and isn't playing. I can, get a decent look at Chincotta's score up until probably 3/4 time. And then if it's good enough to take, I can do that with Rowson, provided he's also not the sub. So just be keeping an eye on that on Sunday. Otherwise, I'll just play Windhager against West Coast, which I kind of feel like I want to do anyway. So anything maybe 65 or less, I probably won't take from Chincotta, but we'll go from there. And then, rest of the teams as is. We'll probably do boring old Dunks into Laird, as most people might do this week. We have, full team other than that. So just Windhager, parking, sitting himself in the spot of Sicily, keeping it warm for 2 more weeks until we do that, and then we trade Will Day. Sicily comes on, get in a Petrarca or so. Today's going to get up to about 530-ish with, say 100 average the next 2 weeks. We'll just say that, and it could be more if he keeps his roll. 530, and then we can whack that. I'll be able to afford anyone in the game, really. So get like a Petrarca, maybe have 50k in the bank, 2 injury trades left. Full team, Windhager, Cincotta is the cover, and hopefully just push for, maybe top 300, top 400 would be nice from here. So that is the team. Obviously, we're hoping Sicily comes back and we'll make up a few of the points I probably would have lost going this route. But as I said way back at the start of the video, kind of at the point this year where it just hasn't quite gone right for me. And I might actually go through the trades now and pinpoint some things I did wrong, learn from it. We're 700th, and I've captained Took for a 40. I brought in Mills, gave me a 4 the first week, and lost a lot of cash. And our captains have been really bad. I think I looked it up. I'm about 119 average on the year, which isn't great. You get a 130 average, which most people sort of are about. Over 15 weeks. There's another 150 points that I've missed out on just from some bad captaincy calls. So, anyway, I'll just have a quick look at the trade history. If anyone interested, Chester to Chandler, stand by that. It's a great trade at the time. Chandler, for me, looked like a must-have, and he was. Started Jack McCraden, to be honest, funnily enough, could have kept him. Didn't envisage him getting forward status, although probably could have seen it coming, but he was a really high price at the time. Had to get Dacos, of course, and then not had to get Clary, but opted to get Clary as someone I didn't start. And Doherty was sort of scoring poorly at the time. He did eventually get injured, which was a bit lucky. And then corrected Bruin to Setterfield. So first mistake here wasn't getting Zeeble at the time, or not getting him instead of Setterfield. That would have been a lot of points as well. So that was mistake number 1. You could call it mistake number 2, but I almost will. Darcy Big Shrek did hold up from this point on and actually match English for about 6 or 7 weeks until he went down. And wasting 2 trades there just to get him up to English probably didn't work in the end. And that's probably deserved as well from my point of view, not having the faith in the big man. He turned it around really well, and I didn't get English's points from the first 3 rounds, so I haven't done the math, don't really want to, but I think he kind of matched him for the next 6 or 7 weeks from there, and then English sort of pulled away, and obviously Shrek had an injury game, so maybe it doesn't work out quite as well in the end, but 2 trades probably wasn't worth it in the end. C-Mac to Samson, that was good. Samson made good cash. Jinby out was fine. Chandler was a bit early. He ended up making another 50 or so K. I can't quite remember. I'm not about to look it up, but that was probably premature. And Baker was, fine to trade out. And then, it was just this trade here getting in. It got me Took. Roberts, obviously unlucky. MJ was obviously good in the end. He's been really good. This is another sort of, I don't say bad trades in the end because I think they were fine, but obviously Took getting injured a couple of weeks later, or that week wasn't great. So we had to trade Took back out. Traded McKenna, traded Wilmot. They're all fine to me. Seamus in good. Will Day in not great. This is bad again. So it was sort of early on the season, this part where I made some just not bad calls, but they turned out to be bad calls. At the time, I think it was fine, but I'm probably going to say no here at the time. Walsh at 610 when, look, I looked back there after 6 rounds. He was averaging 117 from, I think, his 3 games at that point. And Track was averaging 105 from his 6 games up to this point in the season. He had North that week, Track. It was sort of, I was trying to guess who would get the forward status. That was my plan again. Just silly. Track's at the peak of his powers. Walsh coming off back surgery. No preseason. Track's gone on to score, I think it's 200 and something points more than Walsh from here, from this point. And that's, difference between me being 700th right now and 200th. So, Took, there's Walsh here, and then it's coming where we get to Mills. But Sinclair ended up being a good trade. He's probably the 5th defender, or 4th, I guess, if you count Sicily or not. So I think he's been fine in the end. Did cop a couple of bad ones from him, of course, but he's sort of outweighed that with his really good games. And then Mills is the other one. So there's been probably 4 bad moves, and the fact I sit here at 700th with these bad moves shows that you can make a few bad ones. But that's the difference of being, 700th here or in the top 100 and really pushing for a good rank. So, yeah, that is the difference. Mills and Hopper, obviously Mills had to go straight out. He lost 50k. Stewart, Humphin was good. Stewart in was good too, but it was the wrong timing with Merritt. I was sort of tossing to go Merritt. Merritt goes 160 this week. I think Stewart went 90. So lost a lot of points there, got led the week after, and I've ended up obviously not having Merritt in my team for the end of the year. Then these are all fine. DC good, Briggs good. Have really sort of gone well here. Sarong at 610, not great, but still okay. Neil good. All this. Maybe Sheasel out in the end hasn't been too good, but still been able to finish the team. And then English to NAS to ride Briggs at R2, which is another obviously thing I haven't said, but what I'll be doing for the rest of the year, and then that's all fine. So a few learning points there, a few bad decisions, a few ones that just I think good decisions have just gone wrong, but it is a fine margin in this game where that can really just hurt you. So we'll have 2 trades left, and we'll have no English. Let's look at maybe some players that we won't have in our team. I'll just put it up to premiums, top 1%. So, there's the game of SuperCoach. It's probably a talking point for maybe a podcast for the rest of the year that we won't have too much to talk about. Look at all these premiums that are 90+% owned that really do not matter to your score weekly now. Like, what these guys score, unless obviously you don't own them, really only matters if you captain them. And that's just where the game sort of got to. A lot of people are really good at the game now. Obviously, there's a lot of content out there, of course, that I'm included in making. But, Merritt's the biggest one we don't own here. English is down quite a bit. He was 75.80, and some people have joined me on the train of riding against him for the rest of the year. Cogs has been that all year, around that sort of thing, and hasn't really hurt me too much, only averaging 99. And then Shees, and then Track we will get. So, I do like the fact that I have Butters. I will have Track as sort of lower owned players on the way home. Hopefully that can make up for, the fact that I don't have Merritt and it really English, Briggs is really going to have to do well, pardon me, on the run home. So anyway, that's where we sit. Been a bit of a longer one than I thought I was going to record, but we'll catch you for the podcast tomorrow night and on the reviews, rest of the review videos for the way home. So thanks for watching. As always, guys, leave a comment. If you need some help on something, I'm happy to respond. Not too much going on in the SuperCoach landscape, as we know from here. So thanks for watching. Give the video a like if you're still around, which I don't know why you would be, but thank you. And we'll see you on the next one. Until then, cheers.